Hello, this session is about web service. Uh, Here we will talk about web service introduction, XML schemas, and we are going to discuss about parsers like SAX, DOM, JAX-B. And of course, SAX and DOM are no more in use, and we are going to talk about RESTful web services and its implementation like Jersey, Apache CXF, REST eBay. Then we also going to talk about RESTful web service using Spring, and then REST security, and at the end, we are going to talk about SOAP web service. Okay, and of course, if you look at recent projects in most of the organizations, they are no more starting any project with a SOAP web service because it's a heavyweight when compared to RESTful web service, which is a lightweight. And of course, still there are few of the projects and many organizations who still make use of the SOAP web service. But when it comes to a new project, then of course they're starting with only REST web service. So we're going to throw some light on it. But before that, um, we're going to talk much more in a deep way about the RESTful web service and also using Spring REST. Okay, so let's start. So web service introduction. If you look at any applications in any projects, we have two different types of projects applications. One is a standalone application, other one is web service. If you look at the standalone applications, like the games which are installed on personal computers, the softwares that we install, like McAfee, like the Eclipse, like the MS Office, like the HP UFT or HP Load Runner. So all these are standalone applications. In the most of the projects, we hardly work with standalone applications, and of course, there are few product-based companies, so where we may need to work on these standalone. But overall, if you look at the percentage, the market percentage of the projects which use standalone when compared to the web service is more, much more, close to 80 to 85 percentage. Okay. And that's about the applications. So when we talk about web service, definitely we need to talk about website. So what is it? First of all, we need to discuss what is website and what is web service. Before that, let me draw a diagram for the website and show you. So if you look at the website, it's a how for any project we have client and server. So client is nothing but in a UI where the it may be browser or it may be a UI which may be built using the Angular. So whenever the client sends the request to the server processes the request and sends back the response to the client. So it's an simple simple client and server. Simple client and server request and response. So here inside the server, uh, so inside the server, let me draw a diagram. So if you look at, if you say this as client and this as server and this as client, and this as server. So website is consumed by actually user. It may be client or user. It may be client or user. So here, website is the website. This, let's say that this website. So website, in the website, the client or user consumes the is consumed website is consumed by the user. So whereas in web service, it's consumed by the another program. Okay. So let's say that we have one the project inside the server. So here, this is a project. So whenever the client sends the request, client or the user, whenever they send the request, it's going to process inside this. Let's say this is the project, some project. This is some project. Okay. So whenever they send the request, using this project, it processes the data and sends back the appropriate response back to the client. Okay, it sends appropriate request back to the client. Okay, so this is a quite a typical system. Okay, so whereas let's talk about web service. When we talk about web service, let's say this is a web service. So let's say this web service. So inside this web service, we have a client, we have the client and the server. And so let's say that in the server we have two different projects. Let's say that we have the two different projects. This is the project one and this is the project two. Let's say this is the project one and this is the project two. So, and this is the project two. Okay. So here in the website, here the communication. So if the one program, let's say that if one program, if one program wants to talk with another program, let's say that the P1, the project one, um, wants to talk with the project two, or if the first program wants to talk with the other program, then we need to make use of the website. Okay, then we do that thing by using website. So that's the difference. So we can say that a short way, website is consumed by the client or user. So whereas the website, web service, it is used by the another program. So it is actually used by the another program. Okay, that's the thing. So this is about website and web service. Now let me talk about few other technologies related to the client and server. Okay, we have a send redirect. Redirect method. So why do we need to use this send redirect? So and actually do we use? So do we use this? Do we use send request in real time? Answer is no. Answer is no. Reason because let me go back. Let me draw a diagram and show you why. Why do we need to use send request? So in any project, we'll never use send redirect. we make use of instead instead we make use of request dispatcher. So instead of send redirect, we make use of the request dispatcher. Okay. So first of all, let me talk about why we should not use send redirect. So let me go to the project. Let's say that. So let's say that I have two different projects, not two different programs. Let's say that this is my project one and this is my project two. So let's say that the client has sent the request. Okay. Now the project P1 is doing some work. It's processing some work. So after while processing the project, let's say that it needs to talk with the project P2. Let's say that it needs to talk with the P2. Let's say that it needs to talk with the P2. Okay, it needs to talk. The P1 wants to talk with the P2. Then uh, then the P1 is the other project, one project, other one is P2 is the other project, right? So if we make use of the send redirect, what's going to happen is whenever the control goes from P2 to P2 by using send redirect, the connection will be lost. So the connection will be lost, and now uh, the P1 will not have any kind of connection. So the request will not be processed properly, and at end we will not getting any response. So to avoid this problem, we make use of the request dispatcher instead of send redirect. Okay. So now what is now is what does request dispatcher do? So request dispatcher request only to the resource which are available in the same project. So for request dispatches, the request only to the resource which are available in the same project. Okay, it is used within the same project. So whenever you want to define the request um, only to the resource which is available in the same project, then we should make use of the request dispatch. Same project, not the same, different project, same project. Okay. In case of website, client will talk with the server. So in case of website, one server application talks to the another server application. Okay, here there are two scenarios with the website. Okay, let's talk about those two scenarios. Okay, let's say that uh, let's say that we have two different projects. So two different projects. This is the project one. This is the project two. Okay. So now the project one wants to talk with the project two. If the project one wants to talk with the project two, then we can make use of the web service. There is the other case. This is server one, server, right? Let's say that this is server one. Server one. Let's say this is the server one. Okay. Let's say that we have another server. Um, Let me remove this. Draw the one more diagram. Let's say this is a server 1 and this is server 2. This is a server 1 and this is the server 2. Okay, so now let's say that we have the projects in two different servers. So this is my project 1, this is my project 1, and this is my project 2. So even in this case, we can make use of the web service to communicate uh, with the two different projects available in two different servers. So the project can be in one single server. The server can contain multiple projects, or um, multiple servers may contain multiple projects. Okay, so whatever, so wherever the project may be, it may be in a single server, multiple projects may be in a single server, or multiple projects in the multiple servers. We can make use of the web service. Okay, so these are the two scenarios. So in the web service, so in the web service, in the web service, we need to develop develop two um, different programs. What are they? Two different programs. One is provider, or I said or consumer. It may be provider program or consumer program. So in our project, we need to work on one, any of this one, not the both. Okay. So provider will actually have uh, logic and will execute the code. It actually has a logic. So this one actually has a logic to process the code or data. Okay. So consumer requests provider and gets output from the provider and uses it. The provider will have the actual data, and consumer requests provider. It it requests. Let me add. It requests provider and get um, output from provider. So the project will be involved either in provider. So in a project, we will be involved in either in the project in the provider side or consumer side. Only on the one, not on the both. Okay. So this is the one. This is about the provider and consumer. So so let me talk much more on this. Okay, let me talk about so few examples about one example about provider and consumer. I'm going to take a typical example. Uh, One of our projects, which was long back. So we provided some JSON. We provided the extracted data from the database and created JSON data, and we are stored in the MongoDB. Okay, so what we have done is uh, let's say this is our this is the provider, and we had many consumers. Let's say that, so now I had only three consumers. Let's say that for any consumer whoever want, so in this is a provider. So this provider, what we've done is we have created few APIs, few APIs, um, different APIs. Um, API 3. In this way, we have many APIs. So whoever want to consume these APIs, they is to send the request. So we created this API by using some database. Okay. So whenever, so all these consumer, so we had many consumers, not just three, we had many consumers. So whoever want to consume this API, if they want to consume only API 1 or API 2 or all the three APIs, they used to send request. They used to send request um, to the server, to the server. So let's say that these are clients. So they used to send the request um, to a server to consume these APIs, and they used to consume the API, and they used to get the response. So here the server used to process the data, okay, the required data. So if they want API and the API 1 or API 2 or API 3 or all the three, so it used to process and then send the request back to the corresponding consumer. So if the consumer three, let's say the client three want to some data, it used to send request, and then it used to get in response the required data. In that way, there are many consumers. So this is the typical example of the provider and the consumer uh, case. That way, we can take any case. So the client, what they used to do is, so so the client, the consumers, what they used to read this data. So they used to read this data. They used to read this data, what they got from through this API. Then they used to display it. They have a separate API, separate UI systems. So using this data, they used to send this to the front end. Okay. So this is their front end. Let's say this is their UI. So in the UI, whenever they need data, they used to send request to the consumer. So the consumer used to call the corresponding API and retrieve the data and give back the data to the UI. So for UI, consumer is the provider, but whereas for the consumer, UI is the client. Whereas this case here you can see, um, for this client, this is the front end. Let's talk about this and server and consumers. So that for this one, this is the provider, whereas the consumers. So this is the, the so this is the consumer. Whereas this here we are passing data and sending back because the consumer has requested. So the consumer, this is the consumer and this is the provider. Whereas for the UI, this part is the provider because it is getting the request and sending back the response to the UI. So in that way, in the projects, providers and consumers get changed. Okay, they may be consumers. So for them, someone else may be provider. Okay, so that way it changes from project to project, and this is the typical example. Now, let me talk about few challenges. Should not challenges, but things related to the providers and consumers. So let's say that this is the provider, and this is consumer. Okay, this is a provider and this is a consumer. So the client sends the request, and the server processes the data and send back the response to the client, right? So let's say that uh, these are the two different the projects, and we have object here, and we need to transfer this object to the consumer. So to transfer the objects, it's not possible. Okay, to transfer these objects to the network, it's not possible unless until it is not serializable. So to transfer the objects between two different systems, this is system one, this is system two, right? Or this can be two servers. It can be the client user. It may be a consumer provider, anything. So if in this case the object needs to be transferred, it has to be serializable. If it is not serializable, we can't transfer the object. Okay, transfer the object from one system to the other system. So let's say that we have the two different systems. So let's say that we have two different systems. Let's say that this is system one, and this has system two. Okay, so now so this is system, right? So and so let's say that this is system one, system two, and we have an object. Yeah. So to transfer the object from one system to the other system, it needs to be this. We need to we need to serialize it. We need to it needs to be serializable because so this system needs to be serializable. Okay, so this system needs to be serializable. Serializable. So once the object is transferred from here, let's say that object is transferred from here to here, from here to here. So here, once let's say that the object is transferred, let's say that the object is transferred from here to here. Okay, when it's transferred from here from system one to system two. So here to read this object, it needs to serialize it. Serialize it. It needs to deserialize it. So it needs to be deserializable. So let's say that system 2 want to send the object from system 2 to system 1. So let's say that it's from the here to here. Here from the system 2 to system 1. Then this system needs to be serializable. and as it is receiving the data, it needs to deserialize the object, so it needs to be deserializable. Okay, so with this we got to know that if at all we have to transfer the object from one system to the other system, it needs to be both serializable as well as deserializable. So this is the important condition. So whenever we need to transfer, from one system to system, it needs to be serializable and deserializable. Okay, and that's about deserializable. And let me talk about one more thing about interoperable applications. So web service. So web service is interoperable application. Again, can be used, can be designed for the web service, can be designed, can be used to design operable applications. Okay. So what is this interoperable applications? Let's discuss now. Okay. Interoperable application. So let's say that um, we have one organization with a name. Let's say this is organization one, and this is the organization two. So organization two, right? So this is the organization one, and this is the organization two. So, so let's say that the organization has written some code. It has written some project in in the language using Python. Okay, using the Python. So let's say that the organization one has written the project using Java. So to communicate between two organizations which has a project written in two different languages, okay, we can make use of the web service. We can make use of the web service. So web service is compatible to communicate between two organizations which has a project written in two different languages. So that is known as interoperable application. It can be used to design interoperable applications. So how does it communicate with the two different uh, projects present in two different organizations which are in two different languages? How it is possible? It is possible by making use of the universal languages like the XML or JSON, using the languages known as XML. So if it is uses XML, then we can say SOAP web service. If it is uses JSON, JavaScript object notation, okay, then we can say it is using a RESTful web service. So it can use this language to communicate between two different projects written in two different languages. So this is the interoperable application. So we can say that website can be used to design interoperable applications. This is one of the feature of the web service. So that's all for now. In the next session, we'll be talking about, discussing about, we'll be developing one web-based application. Okay. Thank you.